Well, welcome to another edition of In the Room with Adam. We named it that because I'm Adam and I'm in a room, and I invited you in here as we just talk about what it means to navigate life now. And today I want to talk to you about the subject of practicing pasture. And I want to just start by reading you something from the book of Psalms. It says this, Psalm chapter 23, verse 1. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. Whew! Already I'm convicted, right? Because I feel like I'm lacking a whole bunch of things. And so already I'm like, this scripture is a lie. Listen to this, verse 2. He makes me lie down in green pastures. We're going to spend almost the rest of our time on this verse. So if you have your own Bible, underline that line, he makes me lie down. For those of you that are looking at it on a device, don't underline it because that underline is not going away when you switch to another screen. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table for me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I just want us to wrestle with one particular piece in general. He makes me lie down in green pastures. Let me just ask you this. Anybody else have trouble, especially when you're stressed or anxious, just lying down, just taking a break, just stepping back, just resting, just breathing, just practicing pasture? It is hard. The second I sit down, how many of you, that's the moment where you're just like, what am I forgetting? What am I not doing? What could I be filling this time with? What am I supposed to be making happen right now? Like, what chores are undone? What person needs me? What text did I forget to reply back to? What plans am I not making that somebody's going to need something and I'm not going to be able to give it to them? And we just start having a panic attack. I think in a lot of ways, we do the thing as adults that I remember our kids doing to us when they were really little. We used to do a thing called nap time. For those of you that are parents, remember when you made your kids take a nap? Why? Because they didn't want to. And every single time we knew they needed it. We knew it was going to help them. We knew they were going to make it through the rest of the day without it. And then they would do the thing where they're like, I'm not tired, as they're giving all of the signs of what a tired person does. And I think a lot of us, we do the same thing when it comes to God. Where is God making you lie down right now? Where is he making you slow down? I don't know if you remember this from an old science class that you had. If that was a class that you cut or didn't do well in or cheated in, I'm just going to give you a little cheat sheet right now. Newton's first law of motion, sometimes referred to as the law of inertia, says that an object stays in motion at the same speed and in the same direction unless acted upon by an outside force. The way I see it is you're just going to do what you're used to until you're not able to. Whether that's good for you or not, whether that's what you want to be doing or not, whether that's God's best for you or not, you're going to just do what you used to until you're not able to, right? Until that outside force begins to draw your attention to like, hey, sit down, slow down, lay down. Why is that? You know, if I never stop doing, then I don't have to think about what I'm doing. And some of us are just filling our lives with activity so that we don't have to think about the state of our lives. And here's the big question I just want to pose to you today. What if the COVID government restrictions aren't the issue? What if the real issue is how you do you? So good. What if that's the thing? What if all these restrictions, what if all it's doing is getting you to sit down and slow down and lie down and realize that you are scrambling and running and being scared and stressed, and it is not who you want to be? There's this passage in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, where Paul says, don't copy the behavior and the customs of the world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. And I think God is leveraging this moment to do the thing that you don't want to do, that you, like a small toddler, is fighting him on, right? How many of us have told God for a really long time, God, I'm just exhausted and I'm running too fast and I don't even know if I really want to do this thing anymore, and I need to kind of reset some things, and I feel like maybe you're asking me, you're calling me to do this, and then we have an opportunity and God's like, okay, lay down. And we're like, no, I can't lay down. I go, what am I supposed to be doing? And we scramble. And it's like, I think for some of us, God leverages these moments to do for me what I used to do with one of my kids. I would hold him on the mattress of the crib and he would just like scramble and fight me. And it's just like, just stop fighting for a second. Just lay there, just relax. And it's like, as soon as like he would stop struggling, it was like, I'm not tired. And just instant sleep, instant rest. And then what happened, right? He would wake up and it was like he was a new person. Yeah. It was like there was something about that rest and reprieve that reprogrammed him. There's a continual, like every day there needs to be this moment of lying down and practicing pasture. And I say practicing pasture because I think that we fight it. And I want to give you just some things that I do, some what I would classify as countercultural habits of calm, of cultivating calm. These are the ways in which, on a consistent basis, I practice pasture. Now, I'm going to give you 10 things, and I'm going to talk through them really quickly. Don't feel like you have to do all of these yourself, okay? I think sometimes it's just helpful for me to hear what somebody else is doing, and I'm like, oh, 2, 5, and 7, that would help my life. And so here are the things that I do. One of the first things that I do when you get up in the morning, make your bed and wash your face. When I make my bed and it's all made up, I don't get back into it, which is what I'm tempted to do. Anybody else just tempted to crawl back in bed? And then washing my face has this way of like waking me up to the day and realizing like, okay, we're starting something. There's also just this principle of tidiness, outer order, inner calm, right? When we organize things on the outside, it tends to calm us on the inside. The second thing that I do, drink more water, eat less sugar. No one wants to hear this one, right? Man, how many of you, when you're not feeling great, you're just like, give me all of the sugar? But here's the thing with that. When I eat sugar, I feel tired, I get headaches, I feel sluggish, I don't feel like myself. There's actually all these studies that correlate eating a lot of sugar to depression and anxiety. And so if we're really trying to practice pasture, practice peace in our lives, we reduce the one and increase the other. I don't tend to want to drink a lot of water. I would rather drink Diet Coke and pretend it's water, right? And it's 80% water, but my wife says that doesn't count. Drinking water, right, it has this purifying effect on our body, and in the process has this purifying effect on our mind and our emotions as well. The third thing I want to suggest that you do is give yourself a new mantra to meditate on. And here's what I mean by that. A mantra is just something that you say to yourself over and over and over again. I find that if I don't start my day by giving myself a positive, God-centered, life-affirming mantra, that my brain comes up with its own, and it is usually not a great one. And that mantra over the course of the day just pulls me down and pulls me down and pulls me down. This is part of the reason why we suggest that people start your day with reading something, reading a devotional, reading a piece of scripture, giving yourself a new mantra. Sometimes it's just an affirmation of something that I know is true but doesn't feel true at the moment. Your brain needs something to do, and if you don't give it something positive to do, it'll come up with something else on its own. And it may not be something that builds you up, it may be something that tears you down. The fourth thing that I do as a daily practice is take deep breaths. When is the last time you sat down and just breathed? It's so weird how it slows my heart rate. It calms me down. Sometimes while I'm doing that, I repeat my new mantra to myself again and again. All the research tells us that it would have a tremendous effect on your anxiety and levels of depression. The fifth thing that I practice that I do every day is move and stretch outside. Even if it's just your own backyard or like your little porch or whatever. We've been taking hikes around our neighborhood. When we get worked up, that front part of our brain is in that panicked fight, flight, or freeze mode. And we're feeling all this anxiety and we're not giving it a physical outlet. And so it just stays stored up in our bodies and it needs somewhere to go. Just getting moving, just walking around your neighborhood. Bust out the old jazzercise tapes that you still have on VHS. Come on, I know you got them. Like, we're programmed biologically. All that anxiety is supposed to push us into either running or fighting. And most of us are not running and fighting with that energy. And so you need to channel it somewhere and do it into something healthy, not into cookie dough. The sixth thing that I do, admit when you're anxious or depressed. How many of you just fight it and just live in denial? Like, no, I'm not gonna, no. And everybody else in your life is just like, are you okay? And you're just like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm great. Part of the anxiety is that we're not admitting that we're anxious. We're sad, but we don't want to be sad, so we just pretend we're not sad, as opposed to just saying like, I'm kind of depressed today. And this, I think, is the reason I'm depressed and frustrated and upset. There are times where everybody else in your house knows that you're anxious and depressed, but you haven't figured it out yet. And they're all going to be relieved when you admit it to them. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay to feel anxious and worried at times. What will not help you is pretending that that's not really going on. The seventh thing, exercise self-compassion. And a way to do this is the no wonder exercise. Usually I'll do it in my phone, right? I'll type no wonder at the top of the thing. And then I'll make the list of all the reasons that it's okay that I'm anxious or depressed. No wonder you're depressed. You are an introvert and you have not been able to escape the 6 people who live with you at all in 8 weeks' time. Yeah, no wonder. You refuel by taking downtime and you really haven't had any. No wonder you are depressed because you are doing your best at your job, but you're not really seeing the results that you want to see because some of it's out of your control. What is that? It's just self-compassion. It's just sitting with yourself and just being like, yeah, of course you are. This is my favorite thing about seeing my therapist. It's not that he gives great advice. It's that he asks me how things are going. And then I'm like, I'm feeling like this. And he's like, well, why? And then I feel guilty. And then I'm like, well, because of this and this and this and this. And I just list all the things. And he says this to me. He goes, well, no wonder. Of course. Let's just sit in that self-acceptance. And I always want to jump onto like, now what's next? And how do we get rid of it? And how do we move on, right? And he's just like, let's just sit here and just accept it and just embrace it and just admit it to ourselves. You would probably be a psychopath if you didn't experience any depression given all of the circumstances you just listed me. The eighth thing that I do to practice Pasture is I tell myself this isn't forever. Why do I do that? Because my internal mantra is this is going to be forever. And so I have to counteract it with this is not going to be forever. You're not going to feel like this forever. You're not going to be in this situation forever. This is not forever. This is a moment. The ninth thing that I do is be overly appreciative of something small. That made today worth it. Today, I folded all of the socks and everyone had a match. And I just felt good. I felt accomplished. It was like, yes, I did it. And just allowing yourself to have that and to celebrate that. The 10th thing is ask someone else about their life and then really listen to them. I think a lot of times, again, we get so focused on us and what's going on with us and what we're doing and how things are going with us that we need to get outside of ourselves and think about someone else. Sometimes part of catching your breath is catching up with somebody else. Just getting out of my own head and into someone else's story has this way of just like lifting something off of my shoulders. And I wonder these are just categories. These are just things I do. I wonder what it is for you. You have an opportunity to recalibrate the rhythms of your everyday. And I would say that part of that rhythm needs to be practicing Pasture.